Hello, Villa Rangers. Terrell here. Today I want to talk to you why I'm betting on Shardbound making it big. And I want to approach this more from a business sense rather from more of a hey, the developers are awesome and the gameplay is cool side of things. Now, while the developers are awesome and the gameplay is cool, that in and of itself is not going to spell success for a game. At the end of the day, the companies that make these games are running a business, and they need to be able to make a profit making the game. So the game has to make good business sense. And I believe Shardbound does from everything that I know about it right now. There's four reasons I believe that, and I'd like to go over all four of them with you one by one. First of all, I believe that Spirit Walk Games has made a very wise decision in picking their target market. It's a market that's relatively underserved, and that market specifically is those of us into turn based strategy, like myself, who, while having a lot of time to play these games when they were younger, like, Heroes of Might and Magic 3 was my jam, and I'd take an entire day and play nothing but that. But, as soon as you have a career, time to do that kind of goes out the window. So what they have decided they want to do is they want to take the tactics game or the tactical combat of that game. Because let's face it, the whole reason that you played Heroes of Might and Magic multiplayer, you didn't do it for the 3 to 5, 6 hours of creeping against AI, building up your forces, and to finally go meet head on with all your opponent's forces for one big decisive final battle. That was why you played Heroes of Might and Magic. For that big final battle. Everything leading up to a big crescendo. What Spirit Walk has decided to do, you know what? Let's leave the very deep tactical gameplay of the combat, because that is why they played the game in the first place. And let's offload the whole boring buildup of 3 to 5 hours, and let's put that into an offline activity that takes place before the final battle proper even begins. And looking around at the options, a card game made the most sense here. Now, that's not to say that Spirit Walk isn't really developing the game for anyone else. I mean, surely when I look around the Shardbound community, there's a lot of people who didn't come from the turn-based strategy background. There's people from MOBAs, there's people from more traditional collectible card games. And this offers something of a little more depth to the normal collectible card game players. And for the MOBA players, it's something that they can do by themselves without having to rely on other people doing their jobs properly. Because let's face it, you ever played a MOBA and you have bad teammates, you're probably not going to have a whole heck of a lot of fun that game. Believe me, I know. I was the guy playing the MOBA you didn't want on your team. If you ever watched the Shapers Guild streams, you got very familiar with my infamous Reyna hammers fired at inopportune times because my finger slipped over the R key. But that's not what we're here to talk about. So what Spirit Walk has done, I'm going to bet very intentionally, is that they have a very unique selling proposition, or USP as you call it in marketing. And that unique selling proposition is you can have all the depth of a Heroes of Might and Magic game in 20 to 30 minutes, as opposed to 3 to 6 hours. And that's a big deal. Now, we've been talking about the Heroes of Might and Magic series, and I can tell you one thing in the multiplayer in that community, the one thing they have absolutely no tolerance for is glaring imbalances. So in a card game, you actually have that imbalance inherent, mainly because you have new players to the game who do not have anything of a card collection. And then you have veterans who have all the cards, all the playtime, and all that sort of thing. Now, there's a couple ways that you can go about fixing the problem. The first way that you can fix this problem is that you can put a hard rule into your matchmaking that says new players do not get matched up against veteran players until they have X, Y, or Z games under their belt. And so this gives them time to build up a collection, to level themselves up, as well as level up their account, while playing against people less experienced and who do not have as many cards. So people pretty close in level to they are. The problem with that is it requires a constant influx of new players. And if you're not able to keep that up constantly, then your matchmaking falls apart and they can't play at all. The other way that you can do that is that you can use some sort of mechanism to give the new player access to a ton of cards before they play a single game. And Shadowverse does this. The way they do it is they just flat out give a new account a ton of card packs. And that's certainly a way you can go. I mean, you will get enough to build a decent deck. And one thing that's common in the Shadowverse community is that when you start a new account, if you don't like what you get, you just re-roll your packs. You just take new packs until you get a set of packs that you like. But that's kind of annoying. And that's a lot of time spent for absolutely no reason. So what if you could get the cards into the hands of a new player without relying on RNG, card pack RNG specifically, to make sure they have a good deck? Well, Spirit Walk came up with an ingenious solution to this, and I'm going to point to it right here. This is a screenshot from the TwitchCon build. What it says, win a game with an army provided by the streamer. So for those not familiar about how progression is going to work in Shardbound, please keep in mind that at the time of this recording, we are still in pre-alpha. Everything is very much subject to change, but I'm just going to go over what's been talked about so far and what we've seen in the TwitchCon build as to how things look to be shaping up as of this moment. So the players are rangers, essentially. At least that's what they're called in the lore. They work with either houses or outposts, as they're being called right now in the pre-alpha, to scout shardfalls that are falling out of the sky as a result of a cataclysm that broke the world. Now, in these shardfalls, there are nodes that contain resources, and in order to, quote, extract the resources from the nodes, you have certain objectives that have to be met. This can be anything from, what you saw earlier, win a game with an army provided by the streamer, to win 5 games with a particular deck color, be it orange or purple, or Wayfinder or Bloodbinder is how it's going to look in the game. These are the type of weavers. The weavers are the heroes that manipulate the weave that allows you to summon units. Basically, the cards come through the weave is what it's called. The lore is all very fascinating. I'm sure they will put out more about it later. But in essence, these houses and outposts are where the Twitch integration comes in. While you are watching a streamer, you become a part of that streamer's house. And as a member of the streamer's house, you get access to the decks the streamer has created. So this is another way to fix the card pack RNG problem. And it's also a very ingenious way. It's like if you just give a new player a bunch of packs, they're not going to know what to do with them. If you give the new player, or a returning player in this case, because I've talked to a lot of people in the Shardbound community who quit another card game like Hearthstone because of one reason or another for 2 years. They came back to it, figured out they're so far behind that they don't feel like they can catch up. And so not only does this help your new player, it helps your players that have to come back from a break for some particular reason. Either they just get bogged down with the game for some reason, or, something that happens to me, you get busy with work or whatever. Okay, so these new and returning players now have an outlet to compete, where in other games they would not. And I think that's absolutely ingenious. Now, in exchange for being able to use the deck of the streamer, now the streamer isn't just doing this out of the goodness of his heart. The streamer gets stuff out of this too. The nodes each have quest rewards on them. The streamer is rewarded for all of the nodes on the shard as soon as the shard is completed. The viewers are rewarded for anything they contribute to, is my basic understanding of it right now. If there is anything different, I will make an annotation of it. So, in light of everything we've talked about, the obviously correct way to play Shardbound is to take advantage of the Twitch integration features. It has benefits for the streamer. They get help in completing their own Shardfall quest, which gets them more loot. New players and returning players, and players as a whole that just don't have cards, are incentivized to watch these streamers so they can get access to cards and also start to build collections of their own. And that cycle will continue, as they start to have cards of their own, as they start to get smarter with the game. They get a lot better at it. More people will in turn start to stream, which only brings the participation with Twitch up for Shardbound. And as more people participate with a game on Twitch, its place in the directory moves up, which makes it even more visible. And it starts this virtuous cycle where you have ever increasing viewer and thus player counts. Because, if you're watching Shardbound, you're heavily incentivized to play it. Now, they did say that Shardbound will be free to play, and if you're watching it, you probably want to play it, and you might as well, while you're playing it, you might as well watch. There's really not much to say on this one here. I think that once we get the Twitch integration stuff rolling, Shardbound is set to explode once we can get everybody in. Also, 2016, it's no secret. It's definitely been a huge boom in the mobile games market. We've seen so many mobile games come out in 2015 and 2016, and not like just little teeny tiny stuff like Farmville and Candy Crush, very simplistic stuff, but like full-fledged MOBAs. We have like Vainglory, Hearthstone, and Shadowverse are on mobile. Heck, I played Mobius Final Fantasy for a while on my phone, full-fledged 3D. Pretty sick. I showed it to some people at work. This is a mobile game? Yeah, it's a mobile game. But I believe that Shardbound would lend itself very well to a mobile environment. In fact, if I could play it on my phone, I'd probably be the only thing I'd play, just to be completely honest with you. Maybe if I'm, on lunch or something, I want to get a hand or two in, I could be able to just go ahead and do that. And really, with the way the mobile game market is right now, there's a lot of garbage out there. A lot of, quote, games that aren't even really games, but they're selling and making money simply just because of the dearth of what was out there before. Now, that's quickly changing. I'm reminded of a quote from Dan Kennedy, the master marketer that he is. One of his famous sayings is that if you do 5% more than everyone else, the world will beat a path to your door. And I hope that you've seen through this video that Spirit Walk is doing a heck of a lot more than 5% than everybody else. And so I expect great things from them. So to recap, there are 4 reasons that I believe Shardbound will be a huge success. 1, Spirit Walk is targeting a very hungry target market. Turn-based strategy players that don't want to spend 3 to 6 hours playing a game, most of it drudgery against AI, and get straight to the good part and have that entire experience take only 20 to 30 minutes. 2, Spirit Walk came up with an ingenious solution to veteran and new player disparity in cards, basically lowering the floor for which new players can enter. So they've got a much easier time getting into the game. And if the player has to leave and come back, that same Twitch integration feature is going to allow them to catch back up to whatever the current metagame is after however many expansions have come out that they've missed. 3, all these people integrating with Twitch is going to push the viewership numbers up on Twitch, which moves the game more and more up the directory, giving it more and more visibility through Twitch. And 4, the overall boom in the mobile gaming market that Spirit Walk is well in position to take complete advantage of. So these are the 4 reasons I believe Shardbound is going to be a breakout hit. If you think so, let me know below, leave a like. If you don't think so, tell me why below, and we'll chat. But anyway, Terrell, out. I'll see you later.